to Friday's bonus edition of Cracking the Cryptic in what is becoming a regular feature on the channel. Either Mark or I has a go at the Friday Times crossword, which is normally the hardest of the week. I've checked the SNITCH though, and today's puzzle is of average difficulty, so it might not be as bad as sometimes. Last week's was also of average difficulty, and I achieved the somewhat unusual, for me at least, feat of doing every single clue sort of the first time I looked at it, which was really weird. But anyway, let's see whether we can achieve anything good today. So one across, reject ready to join first rate team. I think reject is the definition here. And the reason I think that is that team, I'm thinking of short synonyms for team, I'm thinking of side. So I quite want this to end put like aside, I'm thinking put aside to reject something, or set aside. Ready, if you're ready, you're set, aren't you? To join first rate, if you give something a rating of A, it would be described as first rate, and team. So set aside, we're off and running again. Right, revealing book from Kipling. That's going to be the book Kim, isn't it? Yes, okay. So revealing book from Kipling, notice covers. So the definition here, as usual, we're always trying to find the definition. It's a skill. It's like learning a language. It's almost always at the start or end of the clue. So it's not going to be, there are no words that mean revealing book. So it's either going to be the word revealing or it's going to be the word covers. Now, here, the way that you get into this is words that indicate position in clues are very often part of the wordplay because they're positioning, short synonyms in different places. So this word covers here, that's suggesting that we need to find one word and we need to cover it or make it surround another word. So it's probably wordplay. So we're probably looking for a word that means revealing. Now think about revealing clothing, perhaps with Kim in it, book by Kipling, skimpy. And then it's just a case of justifying the spy part of this. And if you notice something, you spy it. So spy surrounds Kim and we get the answer. So we'll try and do that as we go through. We'll try and work out which side of the clue is the definition. Let's try this long one. 2 words. Warmer in home, timers are reset. Okay. I don't know the answer to this yet, but I can tell you I can immediately decide which side of the clue is the definition. And the way I get this one is I look at the word reset here. And reset to me seems to me indicating, you're going to set things in a different order. You're going to reset them in a different position. An anagram indicator. So I'm looking for how many? 15 letters. And if we add up the number of letters in home timers are, that is the 15 letters. So we're looking for some sort of heater, I think, warmer. So we're not saying warmer as in something is warmer than something else. We're saying something that warms could be a heater. So it's going to be one of those immersion heater, isn't it? Immersion heater. An immersion heater, what I have to use when the boiler breaks is the answer. Right, this is going to be what? Time something, do we think, for 2 down? Oh, spell. Oh no, this could be the first clue in a couple of weeks on camera where I haven't solved it. Timeshare. A spell. A spell can be a spell of time, can't it? So I think it's going to be time check. Time. Let's do a time. Oh, come on. Why is my brain not telling me the answer? I think I've got to move on. I mean, I could sit here for another 10 minutes in the interests of trying to get all these clues in order, but it wouldn't be efficient, so I think we've got to move on. 3 down. Wind, I'm thinking Sirocco. Like this, carrying, well, Okay, carrying enormous bird round. Okay, well, an enormous bird, if you're familiar with your mythology, you might be familiar with the roc, R-O-C, which is an enormous bird. And again, try and learn lots and lots of short synonyms for things. So when you see enormous bird, and you're solving a cryptic crossword, don't be thinking albatross. Yes, an albatross is an enormous bird, but it has very little uses unless you're looking at a 9-letter word that's, you know, that begins with A. So, but the roc, however, R-O-C, now that has lots of uses. Very short synonym, could be used in all sorts of wordplay. So if we put roc in the middle of this, it's looking very like Sirocco is the answer, isn't it? We've just got to justify it. So like this is sick from the Latin, S-I-C. That carries roc, the enormous bird. And this is O here is being clued by the word round, which is, it's a very strange one, this, but it does come up in crosswords sometimes. If you look up O in the dictionary, it's defined as something like anything round. In fact, why don't we do that? Let's just do that here. Let's look up O. I don't normally do it in this order, but I just want to show you while I remember. Look, there you go. O. Anything round or nearly so. So when the word round appears, you can synonymize it with the letter O, believe it or not. So 4 down. Daughter on break finds meaning. Okay, well, again, how do you solve this? There are a variety of ways, actually. Again, we're trying to work out which side of the clue is the definition. Well, there are very few 5-letter words that mean daughter. And I happen to know that D can be a valid abbreviation for daughter. So we're almost certainly looking at the other side of the clue for the definition. So probably the word is meaning. 5-letter word here that means meaning. Beginning with D, and that goes on. It's a down clue. So we put the D on top of a 4-letter word, which means break. Well, if you think of the word rift, we would be able to create drift, and drift, if you catch someone's drift, you understand their meaning. So let's look at this. Now again, I'm going to look at this before I look at the clue, just because I think I should be able to. There's some sort of siren going off outside. I don't know the answer to this. Okay, so we are going to have to look at the clue. Animal caught in field, eaten by polecat, maybe. That's an anagram. Caught in field, eaten by kitty. Yes, and I do understand it. It's very, it's a very clever wordplay here. So the animal is the polecat. That's the definition. How do we get to polecat from caught in field, eaten by kitty? Well, caught on cricket scorecards can be the letter C. That goes in a field. Can we think of any short synonyms for a field? I can only think of one, and that is a lea. The wandering herd, I can't remember it. But you know, elegy on a country churchyard, that sort of thing. Lea, L-E-A, is a word for a field or a meadow. So we put C in lea, and we put all of that because it all gets eaten by a word for a kitty. Now you might be thinking of a kitty as in a cat here, because the constructor is trying to mislead you. But actually it's a pot. So if you were playing poker and you asked what was in the kitty, you would be saying what's in the pot. So we put pot around lea, all around C, and we get polecat. So time lapse is this for spell check. If you check something, you pause it, don't you? So I quite like that. A spell check, a sort of stopping of the spell would be a time lapse. I think that's probably right. Let's try and justify it by reference to 13 across. Sacrifice for me has to involve million dead. Sacrifice. Okay. I don't know. This one, I have not worked out which side of the clue is the definition. My instinct tells me it's sacrifice. And then I'm thinking I need a word that means for me, like to me or something, to me. has to involve million. Well, that will be the letter M. So there's definitely going to be an M somewhere in this answer, I'm sure. And then dead, short synonyms for dead, I was thinking of the word late. And I was trying to put late at the end here, but I can't think of a construction that's going to work. So time-lapse might be wrong. Sacrifice. I'm not sure. Let's try 18 across. Stop sheep chasing the Alsatian. Stop. Wow, time-lapse is wrong. Okay. Because this is let up, I think. And this is, I mean, this is going to seem absurd when I explain this. I appreciate that. If you're new to cryptic crosswords, I just apologise. Okay, so again, which side of the clue is the definition? Well, 3,2 meaning Alsatian. That sounds quite difficult, doesn't it? So probably we're looking for a phrase that means stop. Now that means we need a word for a sheep. And there are lots of three-letter words for sheep. Things like ewe, ram, and in this case, tup. T-U-P is a sheep. Not probably the first one you'd think of, but it is. And then if you were to say the word the in the region of Alsace, in France, you might use le. That is the word for the, or one of them. So le tup can be reread as let up, and if something lets up, it stops. So this time limit, okay, time limit, not time lapse. And that, now we get the M in the middle of 13 across that I knew was going to be there. So sacrifice, immolate, I'm thinking of. For me, has to involve million, dead. It must be, it's something like that, isn't it? Immolate. For me, must be, I want that to be I'm. Has to involve million, M, dead late. I don't quite like that. I don't think it's right. I don't understand where the O is coming from. That's why I don't like it. I quite like putting the late at the end, and I think there is a word immolate, and I think it means something like sacrifice. But, okay, I might be wrong. Let's try this one. Putting in fortune, I'm thinking we could put luck in the middle of a word. Load a fleet, flotilla. Okay, so I was wrong. We don't put luck in the middle. We put lot in the middle. And your fortune is your lot. Your lot in life is your sort of your fortune, your doom. And then how does the rest of this work? I haven't worked that out yet. Okay, so that we put, we take a word that means load. And that word here is fill. If you fill a ship, you load it. And we put the word for fortune inside to give flotil. And we add this A. So this A in the clue is necessary for the wordplay. And that's a very important tip. I say this sometimes in these videos. I'm not sure how recognised it is. But if you think about this clue, let's read it again without the A in it. Putting in fortune, load fleet. It means the same thing. So why is this A in there? There should be nothing superfluous in a good cryptic crossword clue. So this A is necessary, and it can only therefore be necessary for wordplay. And it is, because it provides us with this A at the end of the word. And now, well, have I looked at this one? Not yet. 19 down, cat, woman's. And notice also, by the way, sorry, I'm jumping around here. Notice the way I read that. I did not, although I am prone to making this mistake, I did not read this as Catwoman, but which is making you think about Batman. I read it as cat, woman's under pressure to detain soldier. So what I'm trying to do is to break up the natural inclination to put words together if we recognise a phrase. I want this to be panther. Woman's, her, under pressure to detain soldier, yes. So a soldier, ant, you might have heard of that. So we put ant. So the P can be pressure. from various scientific equations. Ant is being detained, the soldier, and her is woman. Her thing, woman apostrophe S, it's the possessive. Now, that we should be able to get this, shouldn't we? Laughing. No, I'm not sure. It was good to settle for a midday meal luncheon voucher. Yes. I didn't think I was going to get that. But luncheon voucher must be right, mustn't it? And how does this work? Well, this one is one of these clues that breaks the rule about there being a definition at the start or the end of the clue. That's because this whole clue needs to be read and thought about cryptically. It's what we call a cryptic definition. It was good to settle for midday meal. Suggests that you sort of settle in a nice seat and you're going to enjoy your meal. That is not what this clue is actually about. If you settle a bill, you pay for it. And something that's good for settling a bill for your lunch would be a luncheon voucher. So we have to understand that, you know, we have to think laterally about some of the words here in order to solve this one. Let's try that one. 23. After time, Austen novel. Right, okay, well I now understand the wordplay and I haven't got to the end of the clue. So I read this, I say after time, I know T can be time as an abbreviation. Austen novel, I'm not thinking of Jane Austen novels here. I'm thinking of making the letters of the word Austen novel, i.e. anagramming them. And then, okay, now I've solved it, because then I can see that that needs to bring us, it needs to give us a complaint. Now a complaint might be a beef or a moan, or it might be an illness. And here it's an illness, tetanus. So that's going to be the answer. Let's try 24 down. Round figure with right clothing is content or content. Round figure. Round figure. 10. With right clothing. Ooh. Hang on. Is content. I haven't got this one. Don't know. Let's try and get this last letter. 27. Gold used by artist inspiring golden dawn. Okay, well this must be... We must need a word that means dawn here. Gold, if you see any chemical element in a cryptic crossword, you need to know its symbol. What's its chemical symbol? Now gold is AU. Artist. Well, an artist is normally RA, for Royal Academician, a word I can never say. So we're going to put RA, and that's going to inspire, it's going to contain something that means golden. Now, believe it or not, the word OR does mean golden in cryptic crosswords, and let me show you why this is. It's some sort of gold tincture, if I remember rightly, as well as a logic circuit, or... Here we go. Or in heraldry is the tincture gold or yellow indicated in engraving and chiselling by dots. So a very, very useful short synonym for constructors. So if you see golden or gold, be prepared that it might be OR as well as AU, which is the chemical symbol. And we put all this together in the order that the words tell us, and that gives us Aurora, who I think was the goddess of the dawn. Now this looks like tenor now, doesn't it? T-E-N-O-R. Round figure with right clothing is content. Is this saying we have to turn around? I think it is. That's very tricky. I'm not 100% sure about this, but I think this word round is being used as an instruction. It's saying we need to turn around a figure, which I think is 1, with RT clothing it as an abbreviation for right. And if we do that, we create the word tenor, which I think is being used as a synonym for content or content. the content of something is the tenor of it. The tenor is sort of the meaning, isn't it? It's not. Yeah, I think it's right. I'm not actually 100% sure, but I've sort of come up with a construction of the clue that I feel works, and I think the synonym is close enough. I would leave it in, partly because I was just mulling over toner for a minute. Tuna. Certainly, if I wasn't on camera now, I would pause for a few seconds and really think about this, just to convince myself that there wasn't a potentially better answer. I mean, we're obviously looking for 2 vowels here, but I don't think I can come up with a better answer. So let's go with tenor. Now we've got a V in 25 down. That might be helpful. Fellow, I'm thinking cove. Needing name for charming group. It is cove, and that's just experience. So I know the word cove is synonymous with a fellow. He was a jolly cove. It's not something you probably hear in modern day parlance very often. That needs name. Well, an abbreviation for name is N, so if we put cove with N, we get coven, and that's a charming group because a witch's coven would certainly want to cast spells on you, and they would charm you in doing so. So coven looks right. That gives us a starting C for 25. Shroud, 1 round conservative, lying in state. Okay, so this is another clue I don't think I'm going to solve immediately. I'm also unsure here which side of the clue is the definition. Again, my inclination is it shroud, but I am thinking state. Maybe it's the name of a country. I just don't know. I don't know, so I would move swiftly on. Let's see if we can get 5 across, because that's going to be huge in terms of the right side of the puzzle. So light reversed in fleeting image. Glimpse. No. Glimpse is 7. Light reversed in fleeting image. Okay, I have got that. Again, it's useful to try and think about which side of the clue is the definition. But I think when you start to do times crosswords, there's a type of clue that I remember when I started to do crosswords, I was always trying to find these clues. And it's clues where the answer is actually spelt out in the clue. Now this is slightly more complicated because we've got the word reversed. But if you look inside fleeting image here, and you can spell out in reverse IGNITE, ignite. And if you light something, you ignite it. So ignite is the answer, and we can move on to 6 down. Gremlin, it must be. Look, and I've only got gremlin because I've seen mischievous spirit as I've looked at the clue. So, okay, and the way it works, girl out with men. Well, it's not a girl going on a date with some men. It's the letters of the word girl anagrammed with the letters of the word men. So if we put that together, we get gremlin. Let's try this one now. Opener, intro, I'm thinking. Yeah. Okay, if you're enthusiastic about something, you are into it. And if that collects R, which is a valid abbreviation for runs, again, this is a cricket reference, then you would put R in into, we get intro, which is the opener. And now this one I'm going to guess is earrings. No, it's not. Okay, I tried to do that without looking at the clue, obviously, and it's just not right. Recorded fragment about endless wave. Oh, enrolled? Something like that. I'm not sure, but I was thinking of synonyms for the word wave, and I was thinking a wave might be a roller on a beach. So if we have an endless roller, then I'm thinking of a construction that fits this, and I'm thinking of enrolled. Now, if something is recorded, is it enrolled? And a fragment might be an end of something, mightn't it? I quite like that. Enrolled, I think. Recorded. Enrolled. I think that's synonymous. So what's that? Well, we're going to be able to see whether this L is right very quickly, aren't we? Fat friend briefly ill after doctor. Something oil. So are we looking for a type of fat here? Friend briefly ill. Briefly ill is IL because it's the word ill but not all of the word ill. So it's briefly IL. After doctors we need palm oil. Okay, so a friend is a pal. MO is one of the various, I think it's medical officer, one of the various definitions or abbreviations you see in cryptic crosswords for doctor. Others include MD, medical doctor, DR, just doctor, GP, general practitioner. So there are lots and lots of these that we've got to be familiar with, but palm oil is certainly a fat. So that seems to be justifying this L. So I think enrolled is being made more and more likely. 15 across. Tend to course around Seine's banks. Well, the banks of the River Seine, or the banks of the word Seine, are different from the banks of the River Seine. The banks of the word Seine are the starting S and the last E of it. They're its sides. So we must be looking, I think, nurse, aren't we? Yes, okay. If you tend to someone, you nurse them. And then to course, if a river courses, it runs. So the word run is around, it's reversed, and that goes next to the banks of the word Seine, S-E, to give us the answer. And then we get an R in 16 down. So overtime pay for a barman potentially. Overtime. Overtime pay for a barman potentially. I don't know that. Sorry, my brain is not telling me what that one is. Let's try this one. Oh, okay, this is right. I haven't solved this, but I roughly know its construction, because this is a word that only exists in cryptic crosswords, or it's the start. It's something like anapest, isn't it? It's because it's not a foot, as in somebody's foot. It's a metrical foot, as in something you find in poetry. And I am aware that it's something like this. I don't actually know it, but it's something like that. So we're going to have to justify what's going on here. Oh, nape is going to be the scruff of your neck, isn't it? So a good person is going to be a saint. ST. Okay, so I think it was what I said. I think it's this. So let's deconstruct how the wordplay works. We've got A, that's the first A in the clue. Nape, N-A-P-E. Grabbing another A, so that's this A, followed by an abbreviation for a good person, ST, a saint, to give us anapaste, which I think is some sort of poetry foot. Let's have a look. Let's justify this. Anapaste. I might even be mispronouncing it. A foot of two short syllables followed by a long syllable. The reversal of a dactyl. There you go. You learn something new every day. So immolate is still looking good for this one. Now, do we go? I think we go here because this is three words I'm suddenly seeing. So what's it going to be? Cut it? No. No, I don't know what it's going to be. Let's actually read the clue before we try and guess the answer. Get on. I'm thinking age. Strike with upright character, rich sort. Ooh. Get on. Strike. Hit it off. You strike someone, you hit them. Yes, it is hit it off. Gosh, those sorts of clues are ones I really, really worry about as I'm reading them, because I don't really have a good sense for what the answer or how to read the clue. But get on, I was thinking of age. If you get on, you age, don't you? But it's actually get on as in if you get on with somebody, you hit it off with them. Strike is hit. An upright character is the letter I because it's upright, I think. And then a rich sort is a toff. So you put all that together, we get hit it off. This looks like refresher, doesn't it? Oh, what's this word? Oh, hang on. We thought adhesion, maybe, because I thought this might end in late, which would give me an A at the start. Purchase is adhesion, isn't it? Had unusually is an anagram of the word had. Sound tips. Noise. It's a reversal of the word noise. Because if you tip something up, especially in a down clue, you reverse it. So adhesion, which is purchase. So this is still looking like immolate, but I still don't understand the O. So we'll come back to that. Let's try and get 21 down. Oh, tonsure is going to be the brother's style. It's a style of haircut for a monk, isn't it? So, indeed, sure, shown after mass. Not mass as in, it's quite clever, isn't it? You read the clue, you think it's all about the style that a monk might be wearing. But actually, mass here is being used as in a weight, which is a ton weight. Followed by sure for indeed. Tonsure is the brother's, it's that haircut they have. Let's try that one. Because I don't like this one, I don't like that one. That's 22 down. See arc's middle, that's going to be the middle of the word arc, which is R. In river, decorated with flowers. Floral is what I'm thinking. Yes, it is. Okay, now these sorts of clues are the ones that I think are the most culturally biased in favour of people who are brought up in the sort of British Isles. Because you can get that see is a synonym for the word low. If you say lo and behold, you would be saying see, I can see you, lo. So low, arc's middle, okay, well that gives us R. But how many people who aren't sort of born and bred here would have heard of the River Fowl? You might have heard of Falmouth, which is hinting at the mouth of the River Fowl, but it's quite an obscure river, but it's one that you need to know. And there are so many short rivers in cryptic crosswords. You know, the Cam will come up sometimes, the Po, which admittedly is not an English river, but these are all rivers that have to be on the tip of your tongue. So floral, decorated with flowers. Let's try and find. This is the only clue we've not looked at. So form calculus. Form calculus takes integral. Word triangle replotted. So if you anagram the word triangle, you get integral, which is certainly, you might have heard of differentiation and integration. A form calculus might take would be the integral. So this looks like refresher. Overtime pay. For a barman, potentially. Overtime. I'm sorry, I'm not I mean, I can't think of any other words that fit here. I'm thinking a barman could be described as somebody who refreshes you, couldn't they? They give you drinks which would refresh you. But why is maybe refresher has a meaning as a word? Maybe it is overtime pay. I don't know that. I don't want to look at the dictionary for things I don't know until. So what I'm going to do is try and finish the puzzle. Then I'll submit it, and if I've got it wrong, I've got it wrong. But then I'm prepared to look at the dictionary for meanings, if you like, that I don't know. But I'm thinking refresher. I'm thinking it must have a meaning I don't know. This then would look like conceal or congeal. Shroud, conceal. I quite like that. Okay, so why is this conceal? One round conservative. One, okay, the word one has gone round C, which is a valid abbreviation for conservative, to give once in the middle of state. God, lying in state. So lying in state is not saying sort of, like a coffin might lie in state. It's saying we put our once in the middle, we lay it in the middle of an abbreviation of an American state, which is the state of California. CAL is a valid abbreviation of the state of California, and therefore we get conceal, which is to shroud. So this I feel fairly confident then is refresher. I mean, I might not have understood it quite, but I don't see what other word it could possibly be. I'm just pausing there to check that I agree with myself. Does my brain agree with itself? I think it does. And this one, is this immolate then, to sacrifice? For me, has to involve million dead. I mean, it must be late. If something's late, if you're late, you're dead. For me, I'm just not sure about this, you know. Sacrifice for me has to involve million. I mean, I don't... The only other thing I'm wondering here is whether MO can be an abbreviation for million. It's not one I'm familiar with. For me, has to. Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry if you've all got this and I'm just being slow here. I mean, could it be a different word than immolate? Very much so. I mean, it could be, but I just don't think I know the word if that's the case, because nothing is jumping out at me. I mean, it's got to begin with a vowel. So I'm thinking it's this. For me, has to involve million. So I mean, what? I'm not sure. So I'm not sure about refresher. I'm not totally sure about immolate. Part of immolate I don't like is this O. For me, I could think I'm. For me, I'm. I mean, it's still not quite the right part of speech. For me, has to. I'm involve million dead. Oh, is it one of these text abbreviations? IMO, in my opinion. Oh gosh, all right. So it is. For me, has to, in my opinion, it's got to be this, IMO. So IMO involves M for million, followed by late for dead to give immolate, which must mean sacrifice. There we go. So we can say, we can submit it. I'm not sure about refresher still. It is right. Good. All right. So that's a relief. Let's now just try and justify some of the things we weren't sure about. So refresher. Is a fee paid... is that really a fee paid for overtime? A fee paid for counsel to continue his or her attention to a case, especially when adjourned. Okay, well, I mean, I did not know that. I knew the final definition here, you know, a subsequent course of training to maintain or reattain one's former standard, but a refresher apparently is a fee that you can pay. So I think it was the definition was something like overtime, wasn't it? Where was it? Overtime pay. Oh, okay, all right. And a barman, I suppose, is a potential refresher. So where else? Let's just check that immolate and sacrifice are synonymous. I think we're going to find that they are. To offer or kill as a sacrifice. So that's fine. Let me think. Is there anything else in here that was in any way controversial? I'd showed you anapest. Oh yeah, enrolled. I was slightly surprised by, meaning to mean recorded. To enter in a list. That's very much to record. Oh, it's just there, isn't it? To record. So that's absolutely, completely uncontroversial. Flotilla. Oh, tenor. Yeah, tenor was a funny one as well. 24 down, round figure with right clothing is, so it has to mean content in some way. The tenor of something is its content, is it? Let's see. Person who sings the tenor part. The value of a banknote. Property of general purport or drift. The subject. The exact wording of a document. What are we looking for? The exact wording of something might be its content. Content, and I think it's fine, isn't it? If we type content into the thesaurus, it probably gives us tenor. Let's see. Yeah, it gives things that topics and themes. I think it's close enough. I certainly wouldn't accuse anybody of that being wrong. So yeah, it's a very nice puzzle actually. What was my favourite clue? Maybe lunch and voucher. I'm a sucker for cryptic definitions. They very much amuse me when they're done well. Let me just have a quick look and see if there was anything else that really tickled my fancy. I quite like things. I really admire clues like polecat, because although it's not difficult, animal caught in field eaten by kitty, it conjures up an image that's so far away from how you get to the answer that I really admire that sort of thing as well. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was useful for those of you who are newer to cryptic crosswords. Let me know in the comments whether you enjoyed it. If you did like the video, please give it a like. We get really penalised on the channel when we do these crossword videos, because inevitably most of our audience like Sudoku variants now. So the crosswords tend to get lower views, and YouTube doesn't understand that, so it really penalises them. So if you did watch, if you could take the time to like, it would really help us out, and we'd appreciate it. And we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.